Spirko here. Dorothy is now back in her role as camera woman. Just a little iPhone video for you today. I'm going to show you guys how I smoke a brisket. You notice I didn't say how to smoke a brisket. There's a billion ways to do this. This is actually a market cut brisket. This is market trimmed is what they call it. So this is about a half a brisket really. This is your flat here and this is your point. So when you go to a barbecue place and you order sliced brisket, that's this piece right here, this small piece. And on a large brisket, it's pretty big. And then this is the point. And the point, you can see that the meat actually looks a little bit different. This is when you order chopped, where it comes from. Now, Dorothy likes chopped more than sliced. So when I bought a small brisket, because we've got a Charlie from Perma Ethos and his wife coming over tomorrow, and we're going to cook for him and smoke this for these guys tomorrow, I decided to get the point side because it had more chopped brisket than sliced brisket. But if you look, you can very clearly see the difference in the grain of the meat right there. This is a very soft, high grain meat, and then this looks more like something you'd see as a steak. And that's if you're making pastrami, that's where that comes from right there, that flat cut of brisket. So, well, just keep rolling. Is it rolling?
Yeah.
It's rolling. Okay, we'll just leave that in there. We'll just leave that in there. The phone survived. We're good. You'll notice that even though it's trimmed, they did leave quite a bit of fat on the upside. Now, when I cook this, I'm going to cook, and you'll see, I'll actually just splice all the videos together, but tomorrow, you'll notice when I put this on the smoker, actually the Smokenator with the Weber, that this will be on the upside, so the fat drains through the meat to keep it nice and juicy. And I'm going to let it sit overnight like this in the refrigerator, so I'm going to start on the bottom, and I'm going to use some apple cider vinegar. There it is. Doesn't matter what kind. And I usually do this in the sink, but that's just not very good for you guys if I try to do that right now. Now, apple cider vinegar is something a lot of barbecue cooks use only on pork. They don't tend to use it as much on beef. I found that it really helps tenderize the beef if you do the rub the day before and really get it into the grain of the meat. And of course, those of you that are fans of biltong would know that this is what you do with biltong too. And biltong, even though it's a dry piece of meat, tends to come out pretty good. Obviously, when you're done with this, wash your hands. But I'm just rubbing that vinegar into the meat. It serves two purposes. One, it's part of a marinade, basically, to tenderize the meat. And two, it makes the meat nice and wet. Because I've dried this really well and gotten all the blood off of it and all the excess moisture off of it. And now I want the rub to stick. Now, here's my rub. And you guys know me. I'm not big on recipes, but I did keep track. I do this by sight, but I do this, I did keep track for you guys of what I did mostly this time. First of all, my base. No surprise to anybody that knows me and my show. Keith Snow's Low and Slow Barbecue. Now, Keith might have a heart attack when he sees all the things that I add to his mix, but this is the base of everything I do with barbecue now. This is the bomb. But especially with a brisket, I want a bark. I want a really nice bark on this. So I am going to make sure that I use brown sugar. I don't care what kind. You can use brown sugar, and a lot of barbecue chefs actually prefer turbinado sugar. I find they work pretty well the same. If you do the one thing that you really need to do with your brown sugar, add this to your mix last, and you'll get a nice... See how nice and grainy that is? It's not all clumpy. Because all the dry stuff was in there to help pull some of the moisture out of the brown sugar as I mixed it up and incorporated it. So I'll use brown sugar. I use about 5 tablespoons of this and about 5 tablespoons of this. Here's the other things that go in. Kosher salt. Not salt shaker salt. Either kosher salt or like chunky sea salt. Not fine grained salt. Something that looks like that. You can see this is not the stuff you put in a salt shaker. This is going to give you a much more uniform coat. And a tablespoon of this is a lot less salt than a tablespoon of the stuff you put in your salt shaker. It'll never go back in there. So 2 tablespoons of kosher salt. Don't overdo the salt because there is salt in Chef Keith's stuff. Granulated garlic. You can use garlic powder. Use about 2 tablespoons of that. Paprika. It has to be Hungarian. Actually, I don't care. Paprika of any kind. About 2 tablespoons of paprika. That gives it this red, really beautiful red color. Comes from the paprika. And then, this is the secret, guys. This is the one that no one will tell you. Everybody says black pepper. This is a Malang, right? This is several different colors of pepper. This is white, this is pink, this is green, and this is black. And there's different flavors contributed by all the different peppercorns. They're actually all the same thing. They're different stages of ripeness, the black being the final one. But the white and the red give a citrus character that's in this rub that you would swear came from something citrusy, but it's not. It's from peppercorns. Now, you can't use them like this whole. So whenever I'm using a spice that needs to be grinded, I use a simple coffee grinder. I grind them in there till they're about the way I want, and I don't grind it until I'm putting the rub on. Putting the rub on, not much to it. I put it on thick and heavy. And you can see I made a lot of rub. One thing a lot of people don't do is get up underneath that point. And I have more rub here than I need, and I may have some left over to play around with if I throw something else on the smoker. But the reality is I will put this on the meat. This will sit overnight in the refrigerator. And then tomorrow morning, when I go to put this on the smoker, I'll be using it again, and I will put another layer on. Now you'll see that video right away. You won't have to wait overnight to see it like I have to wait for my meat here. But there ain't much to this, really. The big thing is when you go get a really well done brisket from somebody at like a barbecue place and it's got that beautiful bark on it, I'm not saying they're using the rub I'm using, because they're probably not, but it is a rub something like this. Certainly salt and either brown sugar or turbinado sugar and paprika. Those are your most important things to get a really nice bark. And the bark is that beautiful crispy coating. And I want to get the end here where that end grain meat is. And that's pretty much it.
I missed a spot.
I missed a spot. The camera woman caught where I missed a spot. Good job, honey. You tell me when I missed it. She also told me I had to put the lid on the vinegar in the middle of the video.
It stinks.
She says that the vinegar stinks, but at least my phone's still in one piece, even though you dropped it. But we'll just let that go. Now see how that fat like that is right there? Mm-hmm. So if I get in there and flavor that fat roll, that's going to soak right into the meat as that cooks. And you can, yes, I missed another spot, I know.
Mm-hmm. Look at that, there's a big layer.
There's a big layer down there.
I'm hungry.
You're hungry? This won't be ready till about 18 hours from now. But I'm actually going to show you when we get on the smoker how to do this without taking, a day and a half of smoking to make a brisket. I'll show you how to do this in 4 to 6 hours and have it really tender, really beautiful. So you can see I used about half of my rub. So that'll get reserved, and tomorrow, before it goes on the grill, I'll add it, and if there's a little bit left, maybe about mid-cook, I'll add the other half. I'll just sprinkle it. I'll take this and I'll put it straight on the grill, you'll see that, and I won't really mess with the bottom side. I'll just keep sprinkling it on the top. So this is why I couldn't do this without the camera woman, because my fingers are like this. Now I need to go wash my hands, and you will see the video fade out, come back in, and then we will be on the grill with the Smokenator, turning this into deliciousness. Alright, so we got the Smokenator going. It's about 200 degrees. Cook temperature we want is about 250, so it's warm enough. You can see I've got a pan down in there, and that's just to catch all the drippings from the brisket so it doesn't really make a mess out of my grill. There ain't much to it at this point other than it goes on there like that. Set this down. It's not for you. And as you can see, we've got it smoking. Fire it up just the way they always show you how to do it. Water's boiling, that's creating a nice steam, good smoke coming out. I've got a mixture of cherry wood chips and hickory wood chips and mesquite wood chips, and there's 3 different woods just because I had them and it was going to be fun. Lid goes on. Bottom vents on the Weber 1 touch, wide open. Top vents halfway open. And that should give us a cooking temperature of about 250 degrees within the next 10 to 20 minutes, and we'll run smoke and cooking here for about 4 hours on this brisket before we give it the wrap treatment. I'll be back with you then. They say when Henry Ford came up with the Model T car, he said you can have any color you want as long as it's black. And I'm thinking for the Smokenator, you can have any temperature you want for low and slow smoking as long as it's 250 degrees. The consistency remains very impressive to me. So we got our nice smoke going, and we'll report back to you in just a bit. All right, so we're about 3 3/4 hours, I'd say, into the cook, and get that. I am blown away by this. I added about 10 bricks of charcoal, and I'm going to add quite a bit more here after I do what I'm going to do next, which is wrap this brisket. But my goodness, that consistency, that's as good as an oven. That's why when I wrap this thing here, I'm not going to put it in the oven. I'm going to put it right back on here and add some more coals to the Smokenator. Check that out, 250 degrees. Now, look at that. See what I was talking about, guys? Just a beautiful bark forming on that. Just great flavor. See the fats all drip down in that pan. And that fat's had to cook through that meat because we put the fat cap, what there was left of it after they market trimmed it on the top. I like a packer trimmed whole brisket better. I just didn't really want to cook a full brisket for today. And we were real gentle with this, so this should come out really, really nice. I can tell you right now, that is not dried out. It's also not done. I can tell you that needs some tenderizing. Though, I am going to, oh my God. I wish you guys could taste this with me. Anyway, I'm going to take this inside. I'm going to wrap it up with foil. I'm not going to show you it wrapped in foil because there's no point to that. Actually, I will, because what I'm going to do, I'm going to come back and I'm going to show you how you top up the Smokenator with some more fuel. And, we'll be back soon. Alright, so I'm back, and the ducks and Buddy the goose are hanging out with me, and if you look way out there in the distance, you see something sticking up out of the pool? That is the foot of the camera woman, because she's floating in the pool instead of camera womaning. Hey, baby! Anyway, I've got the brisket wrapped up in about 3 layers of foil. You can see that water there is just boiling away, and you see the flames have come up down inside the Smokenator because I left the lid off while I was inside, and my thought is that'll get the coals nice and hot because I'm about to add some coals so that we can cook through here. I want to cook this about 2 hours wrapped in this foil, and that should just tenderize it like crazy, and it should just be moist and ready to fall apart. You don't have to cook these things for 18 hours like some people do. Now to add charcoal, you can see, I wanted to show you this one thing. I don't know if you can see it. There's a brick in there. See that brick right down there? I added a brick because that keeps this from sliding backwards. I had it slide a little bit on me, and I figured just throwing that fire brick down there would be alright, and probably helps even the heat out too. Now, the charcoal I've been using, what they recommend, it ain't nothing but just Kingsford charcoal, plain old Kingsford. And these holes don't look that big, but they're plenty big enough to drop coals in. It's about 8 coals, 9, 10, 11, 12. Just keep track of this stuff here. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. I hate odd numbers for some reason. I guess it's my Asperger's. Alright. So anyway, added about 18 pieces of charcoal. And I would say there's quite a bit of room for more, so I'm going to go ahead and add, I don't know, half a dozen more. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think that'll do it. So I added, I lost count. It was 18 plus 8, 26 pieces of charcoal to the originals, plus 10. So I did 40 pieces when I started this. So you added 10 to that, that's 50. And what I just say, 24. So either 64 or 66. I don't remember, I lost count when I was doing that. So 66 chunks of charcoal to do this whole brisket. That could have easily been a full brisket too. And no more wood chunks. Don't need any more smoke. This has been smoked plenty. We'll go ahead and get the lid back on. I'll keep an eye on it, but I have a feeling it's going to end up at 250, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's ready to come out of that foil. Just got to show you guys this real quick. I'm about to pull this thing off and take it inside, but it's been 2 hours since you saw me last, and all I did was what you saw, and I haven't touched it since then. You see what that says? It says 250 degrees. Yeah, I'm a fan of the Smokenator. Alright guys, so it's off the grill, it's well rested. Let's just take a look at the results here. Like I keep saying, you don't have to do this for 18 hours to get a tender brisket. If you look at that, that's just... It's certainly not dried out, and it certainly isn't tough. It's about as good as it gets. Smokenator, I'm becoming a fan. By the way, we did this because we have special guests here tonight.
Hello.
Over there you see Charlie Mitchell and his wife Martha. Charlie is one of our partners in Perma Ethos, and we're not gonna break bread together because we're paleo. So we're gonna break brisket. We'll catch up with you later next week with another video.